Hi, if you like the video, please remember to subscribe.
Hi, I'm Rob from robnunphoto.com, and in today's quick video I'm going to be showing you some quick hints and tips about how you can speed up Lightroom 5. If you've come from Picasa like I have, one of the disappointing things about Lightroom is it is a little bit sluggish, to say the least. I mean, I'm running a Acer Aspire E1571 laptop with an Intel Core i5 processor that clocks up at 2.6 gigahertz, and it's got 4 gigabytes of RAM. But when I first started playing with Lightroom, I was like, gosh, this is very, very slow indeed. So after doing a little bit of research and playing around a bit, these are my little initial tips to help you speed it up. Now, the first one is one-to-one previews, because what you'll find is when you're in Lightroom and you're sort of going through your photos, if you're used to Picasa being kind of really snappy and changing fast, like Lightroom 5 is in this sort of demo video, you'll be a bit disappointed when you try and do this, and it's quite slow. You get lots of waiting around and loading. And this is partially due to the way that Lightroom handles the files. We know that Lightroom, just like Picasa, is a non-destructive editing process. So any changes you make to a photo are not permanent. They're just held in a little file and then applied when you want to export them. The originals are not effective. So in effect, you're working on a copy of the original. And every time you go to a photo, Lightroom has to generate that copy for you to work on. And every time you kind of zoom in and zoom out, if Lightroom doesn't have a version of that photo at that particular zoom level, it's got to do it and work it out again and render it, if you like, again. So one of the things we can do is we can make sure that when we import our photos, we can get Lightroom to create these previews. And the way you do that is if you when you're importing photos from your camera or from your hard drive, all you've got to do really is you select the folder that you're importing from, or the source, maybe from, this is just a demo really, but maybe from your camera. Then over on the right hand side where it says file handling, what you want to do is where it says build previews, make sure that is on 1-to-1. In this way, the Lightroom, as it's copying your photos into the catalogue, or cataloguing them really, it's making sure it creates these one-to-one previews of either your raw files or your JPEGs. And if you do one-to-one, it will create the big original files, and it will create the smaller ones as well. Now, this does add a considerable amount of time to the import process, but it's worth it in the long run because Lightroom just becomes so much snappier, so much better. Now, if you've already imported all your photos into your catalogue in Lightroom, you're like, oh, well, I've missed out on that, haven't I? Don't worry, you don't have to worry about that. Let's come out of that. Go back to the library module. All you've got to do then is say it imported your pictures into the catalogue, and they were here. I've got all my sort of picture folders that are on my local hard drive here. If I wanted to add the full-size previews of these photos, and now this does take a long time if you've got lots of photos, but you can go to Library and then come down to Previews, and this is build to one-to-one previews, and then Lightroom will then go through your entire catalogue of photos and then generate one-to-one previews for them. Now again, this could take a good couple of hours if you've got a lot of photos, so you may want to do a few folders at a time. But once you've done it, Lightroom becomes very snappy indeed, almost as snappy as Picasa, which is welcome. However, the catch is that these previews do start taking up an awful lot of space on your hard drive. And so there's a setting to get rid of them. But obviously, as soon as these files disappear, then Lightroom will slow down as it will have to start rendering the files. So you've kind of got to make a decision about how long you want to keep them. And if you go to I think where is it? It's Lightroom Library. or is it in edit? Edit catalog settings. Here we go. Edit and then catalog settings. In the file handling part, it says here automatically discard one-to-one previews after, and we've got 1 day, 1 week, after 30 days, or never. Now currently I've got mine ticked at never because I'm kind of playing around with Lightroom a lot. I'm going into lots of different photos and editing them and just practicing. But I'd imagine after I've been using Lightroom probably for a couple of months, I'll go to 30 days because your process will be import photos into Lightroom. You'll then edit them, won't you? And then you'll share them on Flickr or Instagram or Facebook or print them out. And then you'll probably pretty much leave them alone. So you'll only really need those one-to-one previews for that fairly short period of time. But to start off with, I would say never, because if you've got a reasonably new laptop, you're going to have plenty of hard disk space anyway. So stay with never, and then probably after a couple of months of playing with Lightroom, go to 30 days. So there we go. That's the biggest one I found to speed up Lightroom, one-to-one previews. Now, let me just go back to the right screen. Now, another really fast thing that will help you speed up your Lightroom workflow really is, as you come to know Lightroom, you'll understand that one of the big advantages about it is how easy it is to select your favorite photos. And you can do that by picking them, so you can say something's a pick, or you can with P, or you can say X, which is a reject, or you can add stars. Now, you probably saw that in action, and what I've turned on here is auto advance. So if you go to photo at the top and select auto advance, or just press the caps lock key, what it means is every time you judge your photo as whether it's a pick, so with P, or it's a reject, or I think even if you star it, yeah, there you go, it automatically goes on to the next one. And this makes it incredibly quickly to go through lots of your photos to decide which are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones you're going to throw away. Because one of the strong points of Lightroom is that it makes it very easy to go through the photos you've imported and just get rid of the crap ones. Don't have them hanging around. Go through and check them. So as soon as I press P, well, say this would be a reject, it's an X, so I press X, and it goes straight onto the next photo. Do I like this one? That's a P. Do I like that one? No, that's an X. And you can see it flicks through. So that makes that bit of the Lightroom workflow very, very fast indeed. Solo mode. This is another important one, I find. With Lightroom, you've got lots of boxes. On the left-hand side, we've got the navigator panel, we've got the catalog, we've got the folders. We're in the if we flick over to the develop module, we've got presets, snapshots, history. There's lots of different things to open up and play around with. In develop, we've got tone curve. If we're adding, let me turn that on. You've got split toning, detail to do all this stuff. So there's lots of information hanging around. Let me turn that so it's on all the time. So one of the things you maybe want to do is, if you right click in any of these boxes in a bit of space, go into solo mode. And what that means is, if you do open up, say, the presets panel, that opens up all the way. If you open up another panel, say the history panel, the presets panel automatically collapses. So you're not having to constantly use the sidebar to zoom up and down. And the same goes over on the right hand side with these. Again, just right click in a space and have solo mode. So maybe you're going through and you're looking at the histogram, but as soon as you bring up your basic editing, histogram stays up all the time. So you go for the basic editing, and then you want to go, say, doing black and white conversion. That collapses the previous section of the boxes, so that you've got the space to play around with. So I find that helps a lot as well. The final couple of things are really to do with just really the computer itself, and not really Lightroom. Try and keep at least half of your hard drive empty. Apparently this really helps to speed up Lightroom, so it's got lots of space to muck around with, and obviously defrag the drive if necessary. And finally, probably the most important thing with Lightroom is RAM. is memory. This particular laptop I'm working on, it's running 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is really, I guess, probably the minimum you want to be running Lightroom 5 with. But if you want the program to become really snappy, like Picasa is, but with all the bells and whistles of Lightroom, you really want to be running at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, and with the 64-bit operating system, this is now possible. So, one of the first upgrades I'm going to be doing in a couple of months, probably when it's my birthday actually, I'll be investing in another 4 gigabytes of RAM to see if we can make Lightroom really, really fly. But just to kind of reiterate the big one, that if you're using Lightroom now and you're a little bit disappointed by the performance, when you import the photos, make sure you build one-to-one previews. If you've already imported your photos, go back to your folders and just select one of the folders, or select all of them and click on photo and go down to click on library and go down to previews and build one-to-one previews. Your computer will probably be sitting there for quite a while, but it's going to be worth it, and it's really going to speed up Lightroom incredibly. Well, that's it from me. My name's Rob from robnunphoto.com. Remember, you can email me scalespeeder@gmail.com, and thanks for watching.